On a cold night in December 1968, police radios in California buzzed with panic. Two teenagers had been gunned down near Lake Herman Road. It looked like a random act of violence, but it was only the beginning of one of America's most terrifying unsolved mysteries. This was the birth of the Zodiac Killer, a name that would haunt California for decades, taunting police, journalists, and the entire nation with letters, symbols, and codes no one could fully decipher. The Zodiac's known attacks began with Betty Lou Jensen and David Faraday on December 20th, 1968, high school sweethearts out on their first date. They never made it home. Both were found shot beside their car on a quiet lover's lane in Vallejo. 6 months later, another couple, Darlene Ferrin and Michael Mago, were ambushed in a parking lot. Darlene was killed instantly. Michael barely survived, describing a mysterious man with a flashlight and a 9mm handgun. Then came Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard, stabbed multiple times near Lake Berryessa in 1969. Their attacker wore a strange black hood with a white crosshair symbol, the first time the world saw the Zodiac's signature mark. Cecilia would die 2 days later, and finally cab driver Paul Stein, shot in the head in San Francisco. But this time the killer left no mystery about who he was. He took Stein's bloody shirt and mailed a piece of it to the local newspaper. Soon after the murders began, letters started flooding the offices of the San Francisco Chronicle and Vallejo Times-Herald. Each letter began with a chilling greeting. "This is the Zodiac speaking. The killer claimed responsibility for multiple murders and included ciphers, cryptic codes made of strange symbols. He demanded that his letters be published on the front pages or he would kill again. In one letter, he bragged, 'I like killing people because it is so much fun. It is more fun than killing wild game in the forest.' He signed each letter with a crosshair-like symbol resembling a rifle sight. Who was he? No one knew. He seemed intelligent, manipulative, and obsessed with attention. The Zodiac often mocked the police, saying he had collected slaves for the afterlife. He described making a death machine and threatened to attack school buses full of children, a message that terrified parents across California. Between 1968 and 1969, 5 confirmed murders were linked to the Zodiac, though he claimed to have killed as many as 37 people. Each attack had a unique style. Sometimes he used a gun, other times a knife. Sometimes he attacked in secluded areas, other times in the city. But one thing was consistent: he wanted to be seen. He left behind evidence on purpose, coded letters, symbols, and even phone calls to the police right after the murders. In one chilling call after the Blue Rock Springs attack, the Zodiac calmly told the dispatcher, "I want to report a double murder. If you will go 1 mile east on Columbus Parkway, you will find kids in a brown car. They were shot with a 9mm Luger. I also killed those kids last year." The voice was calm, emotionless, almost proud. The Zodiac case became one of the largest manhunts in California history. The FBI, San Francisco police, and cryptographers all tried to break his codes. One of his most famous, the 340-character cipher, remained unsolved for more than 50 years until 2020, When a team of codebreakers finally cracked it, it read in part, "I hope you are having lots of fun in trying to catch me. I am not afraid of the gas chamber because it will send me to paradise all the sooner." Over the years, more than 2,500 suspects were investigated, including one man who became the most famous, Arthur Lee Allen. Allen was eccentric, had a fascination with cryptography, owned weapons similar to those used in the killings, and even wore a Zodiac watch featuring the same crosshair logo. Yet, no solid evidence ever linked him to the crimes. Fingerprints didn't match. Handwriting analysis was inconclusive. DNA testing years later ruled him out. Unlike other serial killer cases, the Zodiac Killer was never caught, never identified, and never faced trial. Despite hundreds of leads and decades of research, the trail grew cold. The killings suddenly stopped around 1970, but letters continued to arrive for several years after. Some investigators believed the Zodiac either died, moved away, or simply lost interest once the public attention faded. More than half a century later, the Zodiac Killer remains a symbol of unsolved terror. His cryptic messages continue to baffle experts, inspire movies, books, and endless theories online. In 2007, David Fincher's film Zodiac reignited global interest, using real case files to reconstruct events, but still no definitive answer emerged. In recent years, amateur investigators and DNA genealogy experts have tried to use new technology to identify the killer, pointing to potential suspects like Gary Francis Post, but law enforcement has never confirmed these claims. The Zodiac case stands as one of the most chilling examples of how a single person, armed with nothing more than a gun, a pen, and an obsession with fame, could paralyze an entire region with fear. Even today, his words echo in the minds of those who study true crime. This is the Zodiac speaking, and somewhere out there, the man who wrote those words might have watched the chaos he created and smiled. More than 50 years later, the mystery endures. Will the Zodiac Killer ever be unmasked? Or will his true identity remain lost in the shadows of history?